Have you ever thought about what you think about? Interesting question, isn't it? So in our other video, Who is Really in Control, we started to learn about how our thinking and our subconscious thinking and our subconscious habits and conditioning really drives our actions, and that's what creates our reality. I wanted to make this separate video on really how we can think better, how we can improve our thoughts. I spell thoughts, by the way, phonetically. There's the developer of Chiropractic. He did a lot of writings, and he was actually on a old school typewriter. And so to minimize characters, he would just spell words phonetically, and thoughts is one of his famous ones. So just a fun fact for you. But driving back to how to think, really as humans, what separates us from everybody else is our thinking. What separates us from all the other animals and everything else in creation is our thinking. And so really how we think is vital. And did anyone ever teach you to think? They taught you things, they taught you math, they taught you various skills to get through life, but were you ever consciously aware of being taught how to think? For the vast majority of people, the answer is no. And so what I want to go over here today is, what are the faculties of the mind? We have tools of the mind, and just to key in on to increase our awareness of them so we can use these tools better, so we can think more accurately, we can have better, more powerful thoughts, and then these better, more powerful thoughts are going to drive our subconscious feelings, habits, and conditioning, which is then going to create new actions, which is going to create new results, which is going to change our reality. And then that in turn is going to go back into our thinking. And that's kind of what we discussed in our Who is Really in Charge video. But now I want to go over kind of more accurately, what are we thinking about? And so we have these tools. We have memory, will, reason, perception, imagination, and intuition. So all of these are our higher level thinking centers. And so they are in that prefrontal cortex of our brain, okay? We need to be doing a lot of things well to be able to access this part of our brain. Because what people don't realize is when they're in states of stress, when they're in states of distress, they regress into lower level thinking centers that are purely reflexive. Okay? And so then this is a good thing too, by the way. This isn't a faulty design. Like, there's no one to blame for this. This is paramount for our survival. Because back in the day when we went to the watering hole to get water, and we kind of heard some rustling behind us, we kind of had the hair on the back of our neck stand up, we would start to do some things very reflexively, very quickly, without a plan of action to prepare ourselves for something dangerous that could be coming. For that lion attack, for that bear to come running out of the cave at us. We would just start to reflexively react to survive that circumstance. And those are good things. And that's what stress does to our thinking, is that stress drives our thinking and our kind of our power away from our kind of our more thinking center into our more kind of lower animal brain, into our reflexive survival-based center. And so one of the biggest tools that you can do to actually improve all of these is just to take a look at the stress in our lives. Because stress is going to shut a lot of these off, okay? And so when we're in states of stress or distress, we're going to go more into really what we've always done in the past. And so we have to be able to rise out of our current reality, our current stresses, with enough conscious awareness to start to think new things, to create new plans, to drive new emotions into our brain, and to get new actions. And so that is where these tools come in. But I just want to highlight the need to really see this reality, because what happens here is we have tools in here that helps us with this, but if we are not in a very high level of health, this is going to be difficult. If you've ever tried to teach a toddler or a child something when they were in a full-blown kind of temper tantrum, you kind of see the success that you have with that. Not very much, right? And so we need to be able to get them calm back down so that we can start to get them to think more clearly so that we can teach them the valuable skill. As adults, it's the same for us. And so I'm going to encourage you actually. And so my name is Dr. Darby Campbell, and I'm a chiropractor. And chiropractic is phenomenal for your stress. They've actually done numerous research studies on this where we're actually driving prefrontal cortex activity. They did this in Japan on a PET scan. They did a pre and post PET scan on an adjustment. So they had someone go in, they scanned their brain to see what levels of where they were thinking, what areas of their brain were active, and then they adjusted them and they did the scan again, and they found that their prefrontal cortex was active, more active, way more active. And that's where all of these tools that we're just about to talk about is going to be happening. And then this is what stress shuts off. And then they've also done a separate study on stressed individuals where when we go through stress as humans, we tend to carry the stress with us. So what they did is they had a group and they adjusted half the group, and then they didn't adjust the other half. And then they had all the people do a stressful test in front of everybody. It was a public math exam, if you can imagine that, in front of a board of people, and you were explaining what you're doing to solve the problem. Pretty stressful, right? Especially when it's designed to be above your level of math skill, which was the case in this study. And then what they did is they measured the stress load 15 minutes later with a couple different tools that we use in our office too. And then they measured it a half hour later. And so what happens as humans is we go through a stressful encounter, and then we tend to just keep motoring around, and we tend to be dwelling upon that stress. Both neurologically and physiologically, we tend to be thinking about it, and then that tends to really drive certain physiology, drive our brain in certain ways of thinking. But they found in the adjusted group, they're able to revert back to a more relaxed state more quickly, and so that stress didn't compound on their life as much. And so that's a tool outside of here that I'm really going to encourage you with, is just to get checked by your awesome, amazing local chiropractor. So, but how do we actually, now that we're stress-free, how do we use these? What are these? And so we have our memories, okay? So we have memories of our whole life that are buried in this thinking, and memory combined with perception really drives how we feel about those memories. And so first we have to be able to engage that memory, remember that thing, and then we can perceive how we feel about that memory. A common negative one is, say you want to do this result, but every time you've done this result in the past, you've had a bad reaction to it, or something bad happened. Even though the action you're trying to do is inherently good, the result hasn't been there. And so you perceive the action and the result as negative, and so you're less likely to do that again in the future. Okay, and so what we can do is we can change our perception to that memory and say, hey, that time that I went to the gym and then my classmates made fun of me because I wasn't in the best shape, they were just doing what kids do. I can go to the gym today, and in every way, when I go to the gym, I'm getting better and better. And that's going to actually allow me to get in better shape, and so I'll have more self-confidence. And so this memory can actually drive you to have a better thinking about the result instead of a negative. And so that's just shifting your perception on the memory. Will drive. And so this is where really, what is your purpose behind the results? If you have a big enough why, if you can think a big enough why to do something, the action becomes easy. Like for me in career, I love what I do. I love serving people. I love getting up in the morning and shooting videos, even though sometimes I'm just like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed. But I can just imagine you watching this, absorbing this content for the first time, you being able to perceive the changes that you need to make, more accurately make a more clear plan, and then you'll be able to use the faculties of your mind, use your imagination to imagine how going to the gym would make you feel. Imagine how that weight reduction, imagine that increased fitness and level of performance will have an impact on not only your fitness life, but how that will give you more energy at the day to serve your family. And so I can imagine those things, and it gives me encouragement to do these new actions that I'm trying to do. And so I then increased my will through my imagination. And so reason, that's another one. It's just logically thinking through. We need a detailed plan to do things. We can't, like when they're launching kind of a shuttle into space, when they're building a new satellite and they're sending off into space, there's a lot of reasoning, there's a lot of planning there. And so we need to use our faculties of the mind. If we want to lose 10 pounds, a lot needs to happen to do that. We need to change our calorie out, kind of what we're expending. We need to change our calories in. We need to look at what other metabolic changes we need to do. We need to then determine what exercise is going to be most beneficial for your body type, how I can still maximize sleep, how I can still plan that and get it all into my day. That's all faculties of reason. And then intuition. This is really, women are going to key into this a little bit more easily. Just, we have a certain sense about things, and we want to start to increase our awareness with just intuitive force within us. There are more things in our senses than what we're aware of. There's more than just what we see, what we touch, what we taste, what we kind of smell. There's more things going on that our brain can perceive. And so just allowing that to start to happen, giving yourself the honor, the trust, and trusting that intuition in certain circumstances. Like if you get a gut feeling that you need to do something, maybe give that thing a shot. And the more you kind of reinforce that thinking, that behavior, the more faith you give in yourself, the more you'll start to increase the tools of your brain. And then you're going to start thinking more clearly. And then that's going to drive better subconscious feelings, habits, and conditioning, ultimately new actions, ultimately new results, and ultimately a new and better reality for you. And that's what we're really after here, because if we can make you a better version of yourself, you're going to be able to serve the community in a bigger, more powerful way. And that's really my mission with everybody I serve, is I just want to get them to their highest level self possible as fast as I can. Because if I can do that for one person, two person, a community of people, we're going to change the world really quickly. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do, and that's what I love to do every day. My name is Dr. Darby Campbell, and I'd love to serve you more in the future, whether that's through video form, so just like and follow our page. But then also, if you need to get that stress level checked out, just give us a call. I'd love to help you out.